Hello again, boys. I always skip this step, but I'm gonna pretend that I didn't. So look at the thumbnail and the great. Okay, go away.
You're so professional.
Yeah, well, someday I'm gonna learn to click that off.
Oh well.
But whatever. Hello, welcome back to Rank 2023, y'all. I'm Charles, aka Chucky Rants, as you can see on my little thing.
I'm McCurdy.
Nathan.
I'm just gonna leave that up, Chucky Rants, at least until I'm done. And then again, that's the tricky thing. You got to be like clicking all these things on. Thank you, members. We're gonna put you once again in this little nifty crawl. Special shout out to Dave M. Dave M. You get tonight's toast. Randomly selected Dave M.
Okay, so that's just for no particular reason.
Making it up as we go along. Also, again, another reminder: we put everything out on podcast platforms, so like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all controlled by Anchor. Everything flows into Anchor, and then it flows out from Anchor to everything else. So that should be in the description of all our videos going forward, and that'll be updated every time we do this. Every time a new long form episode. Like Casino Royale. Where are you? Casino Royale. Boom. This will be coming out Friday. That's the plan. If this doesn't come out Friday, it's out of my hands, probably having to do with copyright, but it should be cleared by Friday. Clear your schedule. We'll probably do like a 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock Eastern type of thing. And count on it being at least 3 hours long. I'm not sure what the full runtime is yet.
Oh, that should be fun.
That's the long
And
one.
we're gonna try to live premiere it too, right?
It's gonna be a live premiere, so it'll be basically like what you see right now, and then but it's live to tape, so it's done, but it goes out as if it's live, so you can comment, you can super chat, you can super thanks probably as you're doing it. I don't know if you can only super thanks on videos that aren't live, but either way, it's the same thing.
The point being,
and we'll be there. We'll be there watching and chatting. And my hope is that all y'all just chat the hell out of it, because all that gets recorded, right? Like from then on, anytime somebody's watching that episode, they can look at the live chat. And so we need to make it as fun as possible and call each other horrible things. Because that's fun.
So fun.
Totally. McCurdy, I'll hold off on. I was gonna show off my shirt, but we'll wait until we get to your slideshow.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Sounds great.
Anyway, we saw this week another M. Night Shyamalan movie, because he's still riding that Bruce Willis wave. But
so
is Bruce Willis.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's kind of a sad tale, man.
Well, it's not.
It's kind of a
give the man a break. Come on, guys.
Sad, yeah.
Just
yeah.
stop.
Like if M. Night was suffering from horrible health issues, maybe I'd pull back a little bit. But on that note, let's talk about this movie. So, Knock at the Cabin. Ever wonder what it would be like to be tied to a chair for hours on end while strangers beg you to off yourself? I certainly do now. M. Night, you did it again. You managed to introduce an interesting premise and then do absolutely nothing interesting with it. But I think this is actually kind of a breakthrough movie for Mr. Shyamalan. A masterpiece of meta where he finally showcases his hatred for movie audiences by metaphorically tying us to our theater seats and forcing us to watch annoying people yell at each other for 2 hours. That's what's so brilliant about this film. It literally forces you to suffer the same fate as the same-sex couple featured in the movie, where they're tied to a chair so some people can beg them to kill each other while they also kill one another one by one. Unfortunately, nobody in the theater offered to smash my skull in. Unlike the two dads in this movie, after 15 minutes, I was dying to be dead. But at least I had Dave Bautista's excellent performance to keep me company. Thanks, Dave. Fuck you, M. Night. Stop tricking me into giving you more chances. I swore you off after Lady in the Water and The Happening, but you keep tricking us with interesting trailers. Just stop it already. McCurdy, what'd you think of this movie?
That was all right.
Man has been tormenting me for 20 years now. It's been 20 years of him just lining up like, oh, that might be interesting. No. Oh, that's kind of a cool premise. No. What's the last good movie he made?
Split.
Like 20
No,
years ago? Split had its own issues.
I don't know. Split was pretty good.
It's decent, but like anyway.
Split was good.
Go on.
I didn't
tell us about this movie.
Tell us about this movie. All right, gentlemen. Nans, if you would do the honors to switch it up for me here.
What?
Or somebody will. I got my slideshow. I gotta.
Oh,
Yeah,
I don't know how to do it.
I feel like I've given the unofficial title to the show. It's called Get Ranked 2023, as in get effed.
Oh, yeah.
As I like to say all the time.
Because that's we all like to say.
When Charlie told me we were doing this, that's what I felt like. I felt like Charlie just told me to get effed, and
get
so
ranked.
Get
but
ranked.
It's like get R asterisk.
Yeah.
Asterisk. Yeah.
Yeah. So get ranked 2023.
Oh, that would look like that. No, sorry, never mind. That would look terrible. That would look like somebody gave you the pussy galore treatment. Get R beep.
Yeah.
Never mind. Terrible
Never
idea.
mind. Get ranked 2023, baby. Here we go. First up, Nans, would you do the honors of talking about, or Charlie and Nans, would you guys do the honors of talking about our merchandise?
We have merch. It's pretty cool.
We have one design.
Go buy it if you want to wear that weird design on your chest.
Yeah, it's linked to every one of our videos. You see at the bottom of it, or you scroll down and it's like the ranked store. And
you
right
don't
now,
I think it's under its own tab. If you go to YouTube, it's under
You
its
can do
own
that
tab in our So
Hey, I would
several ways of
understand if you don't want to
accessing it.
buy some weird dolphin human hybrid merch. So maybe just subscribe. Like
You know what we
stream,
need?
like
You
our
know what we
videos,
also need?
share.
We need ranked
Super
stickers.
chats.
We need a ranked sticker
yeah,
of the logo. We just need a ranked sticker of the
It's
logo.
getting there.
we'll get
It's getting
around to
there.
that stuff.
All right, let's talk about Knock at the Cabin, directed by M. Night Shyamalan. I'm gonna screw up his name 100 times. I don't really care. Based on the book The Cabin at the End of the World by Paul G. Tremblay, and it was written by M. Night along with Steve Desmond and Michael Sherman. I think M. Night had a pass at this after the fact. So this film is an adaptation of the book Cabin at the End of the The Cabin at the End of the World, written by, here we go, Paul G. Tremblay. He's written other works such as Disappearance at Devil's Rock and A Head Full of Ghosts. Never read any of these books. If you have, please comment. Tell us know what you think of those books. Tremblay was inspired by one, but for this book, inspired by one, not liking home invasion stories, who just really wasn't up for writing that story, but this was his take on it. And let me put a trigger warning for some, but also inspired by the anxieties of the 2016 presidential election. Leave that as you may. The characters of Andrew and Eric were inspired by friends of his. So there was a gay couple that he knew that inspired these two characters. And then the book was optioned off actually in 2017 before the book was published by Film Nation, who would also go on produce 2016 Arrival with Amy Adams. Of course, we've got the man, the myth, the legend, M. Night Shyamalan.
Yay.
The guy selling
fried
chicken.
I just love how I have a Alfred Hitchcock there.
You gotta love
Pointing a gun to his
5-minute
head.
long cameos. I assume that's why. I mean,
yeah.
I assume that's why you have Hitchcock up there.
Oh, of course.
He practically invented the cameo, and then this son of a bitch bastardized it entirely. Like
every movie,
it was such
every
a
movie
stupid
he's in.
fucking cameo.
Anyway, M. Night
At least he
Shyamalan was
wasn't in it for
originally
long.
no,
he was in it for way too long. If you're gonna do that cameo, do it where it's like literally clicking through the channels, and he's on one of them for literally as long as it takes to click off the channel. Then I would have been like, oh, that's cool. But it just kept going.
Just an infomercial about fried chicken.
It's hard to just keep hating on the guy because it's all just the same stuff. Every time he comes out with a movie, it's the same stuff. Stupid decisions. just still riding the wave from one good movie he made 30 years ago. I'm going to be a broken record tonight, just like
All right.
the opening the opening of this show. I just
All right,
same
calm down.
fucking record. Yeah,
All
go
right,
ahead,
Chucky,
please.
calm down. Calm down.
Chucky
Okay, so he
Rants.
was originally going to just produce this film, but ended up directing it. This is his 15th film. His 15th film,
damn.
and his 5th at Universal Pictures. I guess after what was it? I think it was Split. I think it was Split was his first that he did at Universal. No. It was The Visit. He did The Visit, which actually I've heard is not too bad.
Why do you think he used the old school original Universal title opening?
You know
The
what?
logo was
I'm not quite sure.
the logo was the old school one.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
I like
Yeah.
the old school one though, but
I do.
don't know,
I
man.
prefer it.
I
But
like
I don't
the
know
old
why
school
he used
one.
it.
I don't know.
Yeah.
When Shyamalan was given the project, he actually wanted to go ahead and change the original ending of the book, which we will discuss. I actually made a whole slide presentation of the book ending because I know Charlie and I love talking about the endings of the books versus the endings of the actual movie. So this is also part of the reason the title was changed because he wanted to be like, okay, well, this is the book versus the movie. So that's part of the reason why they changed the name of the movie. And when he had called Tremblay to talk about changing the ending, Tremblay was like, yeah, that was originally what I was going to write. And then I came up with a different ending.
Interesting.
So they were kind of already on the same page. And as we already kind of discussed, Shyamalan Ding Dong he has his Hitchcockian cameo in this film as a TV salesperson for Set It and Forget It. Which
That's what
I
it was
think
for?
is
Okay.
I don't know what it's for, but I think that's Charlie's review of the movie.
Equivalent, yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's Charlie's review of this movie is Set It and Forget It.
Yeah.
Oh boy, hold on. I don't know what just happened. Hold on.
Again, I was the one dragging my feet into this. I was the one that was like, do we have to watch this movie? Because I was like, it's going to be hard to even talk about because it's just going to be annoying. It's just going to be a bunch of poor decisions stacked on top of each other. And that's exactly what it was. Just poor decisions stacked on top of each other to the point where it's like, I don't want to review it. I want to just throw it in the garbage.
Charlie, I'm not at that slide yet where you get to rant. So hold on.
Chucky Rants. I need sunglasses every time. Chucky Rants.
All right. So we got Jonathan Groff. Okay. Of course, we have our two leads here. We have Jonathan Groff and Ben Aldridge. Jonathan Groff plays Eric. Groff had gotten his breakout role on Broadway with the musical Spring Awakening. Then he transitioned to television for a recurring role on the show Glee. He had a memorable role as King Henry in the musical Hamilton. I believe it's King Henry. I forgot to look that up before I got on here.
Well,
and then he also
there's only one white guy
king.
in
yeah, and
Hamilton.
it's him.
So
and
if it's a white guy, he's the king.
Yeah, and he's got one of the most memorable roles in that film or in that show and the movie version, which is whatever. He also voices Kristoff to both Frozen films. And then I think his best role, however, is in the show Mindhunter, which you guys should probably watch if you have not seen Mindhunter. It's a great show.
It's still only 2 seasons on that, right?
Yeah, and I don't know. Apparently, I've heard that Fincher might do a season 3. It's just a matter of when he does it. But I
just started The Last of Us. So far, so
could
good.
be wrong. Then we have Ben Aldridge plays Andrew. Aldridge is not as well known. His last film was last year called Spoiler Alert. He had a role in the show Fleabag. He also played Thomas Wayne on the show Pennyworth, which is like a prequel style show about Alfred before he became Bruce Wayne's butler, but it's kind of more like a spy type thriller. So if you're a Bond fan, maybe you will like it. I haven't watched it yet, so I don't have any opinions on it. And then we have, I'm gonna butcher her name real bad. Kristen Cui plays Wen. This is actually her first. Yeah, it's about right. This is her very first film role. The only credit she has prior was a music video by the artist Callie Star, and she's 9 years old, guys. And I think she does a pretty good job in this movie, honestly. Yeah. I don't think she's too bad. So next,
as far as kid actors go, she was good.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Not too bad. Now we've got, this, and again, normally I don't go through every single actor in this film, but there's literally only 7 main roles in this entire movie. So I thought it would be, I'm like, might as well go through everybody. We got Rupert Grint plays Redman. Now, this man This is
I
the man.
recognize him. What's he
Yeah.
in?
This is the man my wife would leave me for in a heartbeat. He's an actor. I think he's an actor. He's in a franchise. It doesn't really matter. My son does look oddly like him.
That's funny.
Which is probably nothing. Don't worry. I shouldn't worry, right, guys? And he also had a role in Shyamalan's TV show Servants. Then we have
right.
next up we have Nikki Almond Birds, who plays Sabrina. She also had a role in Shyamalan's last movie, which was Old. And last week, Nans, I told you that wasn't directed by him. I was completely wrong. It was directed by him. For some reason, I thought it wasn't.
What movie?
And then Old. It was about another weird premise movie where people start
Is that the beach
getting
one?
old. Yeah, it was on the beach, and they start getting old or something.
Was it good? Was it a really
I never
interesting
saw it.
idea? Okay.
Never saw
that
it.
one.
Never saw that one. And then we have Abby Quinn, who plays Adrian. That's all I have to say about those three actors. But come on, guys, what we're really here for? We got Dave Bautista. He plays the character of Leonard.
I live.
As
I'll
many
throw the
already
whiskey
know,
up for him.
I love Dave Bautista.
As many of you already know, he's a former WWE wrestler. He had his breakout role in 2014's
Okay.
Guardians of the Galaxy, and later went on to have a role in Spectre, which we'll eventually talk about. Blade Runner 2049 and Dune. Bautista usually is known for his more stoic roles with his enormous presence. Shyamalan had wanted Bautista to play this role after seeing his performance in Blade Runner 2049. And then Bautista actually didn't begin filming his scenes until 2 weeks into filming due to his obligations on Guardians. So there were times when they were actually shooting this film without Bautista, and they were just tied up to chairs, and they had to listen to off-camera dialogue by somebody else, which I think is actually kind of interesting.
Yeah, did not notice anything.
Yeah. Now, let's see here. Nans? Oh, actually, hold on, Charlie. I do have to ask, did you want to go ahead and talk about the original ending to the book versus the movie, or did you want to talk about the movie first?
Well, let's
that sounds like
put that in
spoiler
spoilers.
territory, right?
So real quick, this is where we're at after we're on movie 5. The list is Infinity Pool, Megan missing plane. To get that out of the way, and then Mr. Nans. Let's put him.
Hold on, I got one more slide for Nans. I have one more slide for Nans.
Okay,
you got one for me?
Here.
Yeah, I do.
What you got?
Just the slide for Nans.
Oh, right.
You got to put it up though.
Yeah.
It's Nansian reaction.
Okay. What did you think, Nans, of knocking on cabin doors?
Sounds like I had a different reaction to it than you did. I didn't dislike it. I wouldn't say I really liked it or loved it or anything, but I don't think it's the bottom of our list.
Yeah.
I don't think it's the bottom either, but it's low for me. These are the type of movies where I just roll my eyes a lot because it's begging me to care, and I'm like, you're not getting me on your side, movie, and I'm willing to accept that is my M. Night bias after decades of disappointment. But I'm easy. I'm simple. If you get me on your side, I'm with you. Movie after movie, like take something like my personality is such that the new Pixar movie comes out and I'm like, yeah, whatever, Pixar. You think you could just get me to love everything you make, and then slowly but surely it nails me, and then I'm on its side, right? Like it gets me on its side. And I'm sure there's some analogy I can draw to the Four Horsemen in this movie regarding like they didn't really get me on their side. Maybe there's something meta there. I already drew my little meta joke with like this movie puts you in the position of the couple. Just you're tied to your movie theater chair and a bunch of people are just screaming at you and you're just like, okay, fine, I'll kill somebody. But anyway, getting into spoilers, would you recommend it so we can get into spoilers?
I would.
Would you really recommend this movie to people?
Yeah.
McCurdy?
Yeah, I would.
No, I
Sorry, Charlie.
The movie's just a big blah for me. So
it's not.
I don't think it does anything offensive.
Yeah.
It's no. I don't think there's anything stand out bad about it.
Yeah, I don't hate its guts, but I'm not like
it's not.
You got to go see this movie.
It's not
that either.
If nobody ever sees this movie, they're not missing out on anything.
If you're thinking of going to see Plane, maybe see this first.
I would go see Plane again before I would watch this again.
Mm,
I don't think
nah.
it's necessarily a better movie, or I don't think Plane is a better movie, but I would rather watch Plane than watch this again.
Yeah, I enjoyed this more than I did Plane. I actually was more in.
Yeah.
I was more engaged and more intrigued by this than Plane.
I was more
agree that
engaged by Missing. Like Missing had me
no,
on the edge
I
of my seat
I
several
liked,
times.
but yeah, but between
But yeah,
those
okay,
two
sorry, we're in
movies-
spoilers now. So I
Yeah.
wouldn't recommend it. You two knuckleheads would. Now we're in spoilers. If you don't want to know anything about this movie, fuck off and then come back. Fuck off and then unfuck off.
Yeah.
Hopefully
No,
those 3 F words
I would
back
say
to
we
back
have a
don't flag us.
pretty strong list, right? So
Yeah.
it's not like anything we've seen this year yet has been so bad.
Yeah.
Or I would even say we haven't had very polarizing opinions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the ones that we have had, I think it's pretty clear. Like, I mean, even this movie, I feel like it has I have a pretty solid idea where I would place it.
Yeah,
and I think
what's
we
your
might all
initial?
agree.
What's
My
your initial?
initial is it's not last place, but again, I enjoyed Missing more. I enjoyed Megan more. I enjoyed Infinity Pool
It's a
more.
4.
It's definitely 4.
I think
Yeah.
we're all
It's
on board
definitely
that
a
this
4.
would be a 4.
Yeah.
I stand by what
I
I
don't
said.
think
I think
it's,
I'd rather rewatch Plane, but I can accept, like, it's Plane just deserves to be at the bottom, but this movie
Plane
isn't
is
that far
Plane,
off.
and this
I
movie.
think-
Is there anything that in this movie that you really didn't like? Because
There's
I
probably
don't
a
have
lot.
anything, but maybe Charlie does, and that's why he's
Well,
thinking
let's talk
potentially
about
lower.
it.
Oh God.
Let's talk about this
Hold on,
movie.
hold on, Charlie. Before you start, Charlie.
Anyway, yes, spoilers.
I
If
need.
you don't want spoilers,
Nance,
leave.
can you
Come back after you've seen it.
Nance, can you put that up for me, please?
You keep asking me to do stuff. I don't
Oh.
know what you want.
Here,
You
I
know
got
what
it.
I want.
Charlie likes pancakes.
What is this pancakes thing you keep talking about?
It was in the
Dude,
movie.
it was in the
Obviously, you
movie.
weren't paying attention.
So
Is there a character named Charlie?
No.
remember the chick is talking about her son.
Her son.
Yeah.
Like, I have a
She
son.
talks. I have a son,
His name's Charlie.
Charlie, and
and
he
he
the
likes
likes
son's name is
pancakes.
Charlie?
pancakes.
All right. Whatever.
And that was the part of the movie I literally laughed out loud because I knew we were gonna
Well,
review this movie.
And then you
That's
made
weird.
me laugh out. You made me that guy in my theater where I'm laughing, at an inappropriate moment. But yeah, that's
yeah.
Well, I like Rupert Grint, and I wish he hadn't died first.
that was the thing. The moment he got on his knees, I was like, wait. Oh, okay. You tell me this. Did they say? Did they ever say before they killed him? Because okay, so real quick, the way it works is
It's pretty sudden.
there's a movie starts at a cabin. There's a family at the cabin, which is a gay couple and their adopted daughter, and then these 4 random people show up. They beat them up a little bit. They tie them to chairs and they explain if
but they're otherwise
you
cordial.
guys
They're
to
not
choose.
hostile.
They beat the shit out of each other. We need you guys to choose amongst you. You need to kill a member of your family, or otherwise, the apocalypse is going to happen. Those are the ground rules they lay out. But then what they start doing is every time they offer up the choice and the family refuses, then one of those 4 people have to be sacrificed. Did they say that? Did they lay that out, or did Rupert Grint just get on his knees and start putting the mask on? And then they killed him, and then we put it together.
I think it was the second one. I don't think they laid that
It's
out.
definitely clear.
Oh no! Wait.
The later...
He says something like if for every no you give, we will have to make a sacrifice. But it doesn't. It's not specific. They're never like, oh, we're gonna have to kill one of us 4. They don't.
Yeah,
say
every
that.
no
They
you
just say,
give, there's some sort of apocalyptic event on
Something
it.
Well, that's
will
all he
happen every
says.
no you
That's all
give.
he says.
Yeah.
Every no you give, something bad in the world is going to happen.
Now,
but they never mention that they have to die, and so that was
No.
like something that was kind of confusing. It was like,
So
wait a second, I thought the family had to be sacrificed. Why did these 4 people have to be sacrificed?
So in the
than
book,
what's
real
the, yeah.
quick in the book they do lay out again. I didn't read the book. I just read the synopsis on Wikipedia. So if you want a synopsis of the book version, go there. But in the book, it just talks about how them doing these sacrifices holds off the apocalypse for just a little bit longer, and obviously that's not clear in the movie. Like they don't say that in the film at all. It didn't bother me, but
a lot of stuff
yeah
bothered me. But like, okay, I like when movies lay out clear ground rules, right? It's a problem with a
was
lot of horror movies is that they don't
yeah.
lay out ground rules, and then things just can be kind of arbitrary. And so with something like this, it seems like you do need those ground rules. And it was like, okay, I thought, because okay, there are two potential movies here, right? There's one where they right away have enough proof to convince this family, and then the family struggles across the length of the movie. They struggle to pick who they're going to kill.
Well,
Right?
I would disagree that I don't think there is proof.
No, Nance, hang on. What I'm saying is there are
Okay.
two potential
Oh,
movies.
okay.
There are two approaches here. The one I just laid out, and then the other one where they don't believe it the whole time and they think that they're just religious nutbags, and like maybe they are. But this movie didn't go one way or the other. It did both of those at the same time. And that's where it just comes across to me as just kind of all over the place, right? Like there wasn't even any kind of meandering like these people might be serious, and then oh no, it's fake. I found a recording device where they were actually piping in like fake news reports, and it's real, it's fake, it's real, it's fake. Like there was none of that. It was just a lot of obnoxiously yelling at each other and a lot of like really bad planning. I mean, their plan was literally let's just talk to them. Let's use our words, and we'll convince them to kill their dad. You know, it's like the movie's trying to get you to it's like trying to get you on somebody's side, and I was on nobody's side other than my own, where I was just like sitting there hoping that somebody would just kill me. You know, it was just
Like, as the
annoying.
audience
Like every
members,
character
we
was just
know they are
annoying.
like the Four Horsemen and all that, but I think we're also supposed to be on Andrew's side, where he's skeptical the whole time, and I mean that's what I would be if I were
He
in
was
his
maybe the only
situation.
person acting rationally,
Yeah,
which made
like these
sense.
are all pre-recorded. You keep looking at your watch,
Yeah.
like and that.
Yeah, I think I disagree, Charlie. I think the movie does trying to lay out that like both characters had their own mindset, and like that's what they were. That's why if it felt like they're going back and forth, it's because there's two different people and they have two different views on what's going on at that point in time. Because Andrew
But
obviously has
there
his
wasn't really a
hold
lot of
on.
that, though.
Andrew
There
has his
wasn't a lot
own
of that.
bias. Andrew has his own bias as the story unfolds because he's like, no, this is all made up. You guys are doing all these things. My background and what my work does,
Like a
like you guys have.
psychologist or something.
He's like a psychologist, like you guys are not reading into, like you're reading into stuff that's not actually there, and you're making stuff up as you're going along. Whereas Eric, on the other hand, he's been in the beginning of the movie. There's a little scuffle. He gets a concussion, so you're already like, okay, well, maybe as an audience member, maybe he thinks he's seeing things that we're not seeing. And then you're like, well, or maybe
But he
he's
also
telling the
has
truth.
religious tendencies, right?
Yeah. So
They're not
he's kind
really.
of, and that was the other thing is if you watch the way that Shyamalan Lama Ding Dong frames the movie, he really like what I thought was interesting is he really frames people on either one really far side of the frame or another side of the frame. And I do wonder if he was trying to basically kind of say like people are very divided on is it real or not. And Charlie, when I saw the trailer for this movie, my thought was like, this is dumb because I thought the premise was dumb. But then as the movie goes along, I'm like, okay, I get what this movie's is saying. Is like, yeah, as an audience, as somebody who would be that audience member tied down to a chair, yeah, I think that the premise is stupid. I went into the movie thinking like that's kind of a dumb premise for a movie. Is that one of you has to kill each other to
Yeah.
stop the apocalypse? I thought that
Yeah.
was dumb. But the question the movie's trying to ask is like, do we have?
I think everyone thinks it's dumb. Like the
Yeah, it's
characters
dumb.
too.
But yeah, the characters thinks it's dumb. But as the movie, as more things happen, then you're like, well, wait, is it real? And I think if there was one thing I didn't necessarily like about the movies, I did like because I was getting more interested when they were like, no, like you're looking at your watch, you're timing this off of newscast. Like, how did you guys all meet? Like, you guys could have had different dreams, and like he goes
Yeah.
through it as
Well,
like a
we should
psychologist and a
clarify. I don't
cynic.
think we said it's not like the Four Horsemen show up and they're like, "We're the Four Horsemen. God sent us."
No,
They're just normal
they're
people that were given
yeah.
visions over some period of time. They found each other, and these visions were very clear about like what they were supposed to do. They were supposed to
and I
meet
think
up,
the
go to this
movie
cabin, and make make the family sacrifice.
There are
And I think the
two
movie's trying to
perspectives
just
on the
say that
movie. There are two approaches to that story. They could have, you know, they went with the family. This whole thing's from the family's perspective. The story could have been from the horseman's perspective, where, you know,
They're not
the
sure.
premise
They
of the
think they're
movie is
crazy.
the cabin in the woods maybe is halfway through the movie, right? I'm talking about the different approach. And the first half of the movie would be these four people all in their separate lives, and they're all having these weird visions, and they reach out online and they start finding each other, and they realize, oh my God, we need to follow these visions to wherever it takes us. And that takes them to this family in the woods, and then they explain what has to happen and all that. But instead, the movie takes the perspective of the family, and I think really
it's the right.
what it comes down to for me is I think it's just weak, because again, it's like I said, the two options are that they show up and they explain it and they have definitive proof right away, and then the family is stuck in the position where it's like the movie's about making a Sophie's choice, making an impossible decision. How do you possibly figure out which member of your family to kill? But instead, it was a lot of shouting about, like, this is BS and you're timing things, but it's all just stuck in the cabin. So there wasn't any like playing around with the space.
To me, it sounds like
but
though that you in
but on
that
top of that, the
situation would have
news
been
reports were
convinced more
lame.
quickly.
The news reports were also just like it was like, okay, there's a tsunami, and then there's like a flu outbreak. Like it I almost wish they would have just convinced them immediately, because the more it was, again, I'm talking about two different movies at once, but the one that I got was a mix of the two, and that just kind of weakened it for me, where it was just a bunch of annoying people yelling at each other, and like, if we just use our words, we'll convince them, and like, you think I'm nuts, and that's where all that just rubbed me the wrong way, where I was just like, this isn't interesting at all. I would have rather, one way or the other, just to put it succinctly, I would rather them right away. Like, remember at the end when he was speaking the news report word for word?
Yeah.
Like that, something that was like proof that was more definitive. If they would have come in with that right away, but instead it's like, hey, we need you to kill a member of your family. They obviously say no, and then they just start ritualistically sacrificing each other. And so it just diluted it. It was just kind of weak, as opposed to a movie that's shifting back and forth between, is it real or not real, or one where it is 100% real and they have to make a really difficult choice, or one where M. Night does his twist thing, and the twist is that it was all fake the whole time, and that these people really were just insane. You know, like, one of those would be more interesting than a combination of all of them. I think that just dilutes it.
To me, I disagree 100% on that, though. I feel like if it was so clear cut, then it would be boring. In this, it's like shades of gray, where everyone, like, Andrew does such a good job.
Yeah, I think it's shades of gray too.
Of explaining things to the
because if any,
even they're like, maybe he's like, maybe you're crazy, and
if anybody, because I think if you're in that situation where you're led to, like, if you are told that, you know, you have to stop the end of the world, and by doing so you have to kill somebody, yada yada yada.
I would need
the premise of the movie.
Hard
you need to have because then you're just asking them, like, how do I know you guys aren't just a bunch of nuts? And again, I'm watching TV
I don't have a problem with any of that. I'm saying that all is like obvious. I'm saying these people come and they're like, if we just, like, their initial plan is, if we just tell them who we are.
Are you saying the initial plan of the four people, right?
Yeah, the initial plan.
But
of the four people, they all get together and they're like, okay, what's our plan?
Well, they even
our plan
discuss
is,
but they're
going to go and we're going to just explain it to them. If we just explain it, and that's like,
and I think
that's dumb and just ends up being annoying.
They even have a conversation about that, Char. Like, do you think it would have been more effective for them to go in guns blazing? Everyone has guns. Like, you gotta choose someone right now, or the whole world's gonna end. Like, that's gonna convince
I don't
them
think
more.
that, and that's not a convincing.
I think calm but ruthless. I think calm but ruthless, just like Batista is through Leonard, right? Just like he is the whole time. But it was like, it was like their whole approach was like, if we just tell them who we are, and they say, they're like, that was our plan, was and maybe I'm just Rupert Grint. Maybe I'm just Redmond, where I'm like, this is effed. This is never going to
Punching gays in
work.
a bar in
But
Boston.
like their plan was just kind of really, really dumb, and it just led to a lot of just people yelling at each other, and then a lot of like, no, I'm really a good person. Like the scene with the with Wen, the little girl, and
Yeah.
the brunette lady, where she's like, you know,
Adrian, the
you're a
chef.
good person. You're a good person. And I just kept rolling my eyes throughout the movie, just being annoyed with everything and not knowing what was going on. And I understand something like this should have unanswered questions. I'm not saying that I need every question to be answered, because it should be vague, because even the people wrapped up in it don't even know what's going on.
Yeah.
But the whole
I
approach
just think
was just like,
it sounds like to me,
bleh.
though, it's like you're kind of forgetting, though, that each of these characters don't necessarily want to do this either. Like they're like, I think that's Batista's Leonard's character's whole motivation is like, I have to do this.
They're just
I've
normal
been,
people.
hold
I
on,
get
hold on.
that.
I've been
No,
begging to do
that's
this.
what you're saying. They're just
And, like,
normal
he
people.
doesn't even want to kill anybody. Like he throws up at the sight of killing Redmond in the movie, in the beginning
which
of the
I
movie.
like. Literally
And-
everything about Leonard is good. Literally everything about Leonard is good.
Every other character is the same way. They're like, they do not want to be there. They do not want to do this. And they're like, I don't know what's the best way to explaining this. Is rationale, or is it to go gun, like Dan says, like go guns blazing and like, you know, like and again, like this is also, as the movie goes on, you realize they're like, oh well, we don't have like they're all having shared visions, but they don't have physical proof until it happens. They just have faith that they believe that this is going to happen. I think that's what really the movie's kind of trying to say, is more about like having faith in something versus having proof in something. And you can see the disconnect between those two, because Andrew's character is very cynical. He's very more belief in science and that kind of thing. The other four characters just believe on faith that this is what they're doing is true. And so I think that's at least what the movie's trying to say. It's not, and again, it's not the best movie this year by any means. I think I agree that there are holes in the movie that I'm like, it didn't pull me in 100%, where I was like, oh, that was a really good movie. Because even the end, I felt like it didn't quite stick the landing for me. I was a little disappointed when the end was, oh no, it was the end of the world, and they did stop it, and I was kind of like, oh, that okay. That, like, I was more hooked when it, like you said, I was more hooked when they were like, no, they're making this up. They're making this up as they're going along. They're having shared visions of crap.
It was never even
happen.
a question, though, and that's kind of my point.
That's what I liked
sitting
about
there. Andrew's sitting there the whole time, pointing out like how it could be fake, but pretty much the whole time, and not. I'm not talking about like knowing from the trailer or anything like that, because going into it, it's an M. Night Shyamalan movie. It could be any kind of twist could be coming your way, or so his old movies would say, would dictate. So it's the whole time though watching it, I'm looking out for that. I'm like, okay, where are the cracks? Because if I am Andrew, what am I looking for? And like a guy checking his watch is not enough. And so it was like trying to point out that it's all BS, but there was never any moment where it was like, oh, it is fake. Like we found a thing that is proof of that, or the daughter runs out of the cellar and she runs off into the woods, which she does, and she finds something that points out at it being fake, or she saw something. Yeah. Well, whatever it may be, there was never any of that back and forth. So that's what I'm talking about. When I'm talking about this movie, I'm talking about potentials. There's the movie such as it is, and then there's again where it's like,
but it's a potentially
the story where it's
your idea of what a better movie
the story is. The story about making the choice, or is the story about this being real or not? And it was a weakened version of the two. If it was just a story about the choice, my God, like that's some drama right there. That's some drama, you know, because and it's and also I don't know if this couple was like the best way to tell that story. I honestly think that just a normal family with like 10 kids would have been like wild, right? Maybe not even in parents. Like maybe it's just like a bunch of kids and they all have to pick one to die. I don't know if this is the best one to choose, because you have two dads and an adopted daughter.
Yeah.
And it's like, they're obviously not going to kill the girl. Nobody in their right mind would do that. So then it's just a coin flip between these two guys. And that's less interesting, especially because point number 2, it would have if this movie would have focused in on like a love story, like okay, when it comes to sacrifice, the bigger the sacrifice, the bigger the drama, right? So these guys, if we really saw how they came together and made, I mean,
Yeah.
like
We get some
just
flashbacks, but they're all lame and
they're
don't
all
really
weak.
result in much.
Every flashback is like a really weak stereotype. First flashback, and they're all very short. So it's like dinner with Andrew's dad, and Andrew's dad obviously doesn't like that he's gay and is uncomfortable and all that, and he leaves. So that's like relying on contemporary politics in order to get like drama points, right? But I'm like, you got to do more than that. That's just like a stupid cliche at this point. You got to work harder to win me over, M. Night. Second flashback, they're in a bar and they're talking about how much they love each other, and then Rupert Grint, Mr. like stereotypical, like, I just got done hunting and I'm got a shotgun and give me a whiskey and I hate gays and I'm gonna hit him with a beer bottle. Like, also lame. Also does
like
nothing for me except make me roll my eyes and just go, M. Night, you're relying on contemporary politics in order to cheaply blackmail me, emotionally blackmail me to getting me on your side. I'm not on your side. My eyes are just
thought that,
rolling
hold on,
in the back of my
but
head.
well, hold on to that point though. That scene, I don't think what you're describing as us getting on board with Andrew and Eric, that scene, I don't think played into that. I think it plays into more of the question of are they what they're talking about is real or not real? Because there is a point in the movie where he's like, I've seen that guy before. I've seen Redmond before. I want to see
What was
his
the point of
wallet.
that?
His name isn't Redmond.
What was the point of that?
Because as the movie goes on, they're like, no, we've been targeted. Like, even though they say at the beginning of the movie, they're like, we haven't been targeted. That's part of the point of them being a gay couple versus it just being any couple.
Quickly, like the whole time you're basically like had they then added to that, I expected them to suddenly be like, oh, we also had a run-in with the nurse. We also had a run-in with the cook girl.
I give you that.
Dave,
I think,
we had a run-in with
that
you.
would have been nice if that would be nice if they had
that's what I'm
that
talking about. Had it meandered this, like, it's real, it's fake, it's real, it's fake. But instead, none of that. Instead, it was scene after scene of really lame and cliched emotional blackmail flashbacks that didn't really add to anything at all, except making me be like, because okay, again, contemporary politics teaches people today to just assume that anything that's bad that happens to them is because of their identity. So right away he's like, oh, you saw a queer couple and you and so I'm like, okay, like that reaction of his makes sense. That kind of sets the tone for his character versus Eric, Eric is just like, Eric is clearly the softer one. Andrew is the harder one.
He was supported by his family and being gay and
but instead it was their relationship was so weak and watered down that my eyes hurt.
Do we even know how long they've
rolling
been
them
together?
so hard in the back of my head?
I think they do say how long they've been together.
They don't.
How they met.
We know that they went and got Wen. She's like 9, or well, I guess the actress is 9 years old. So let's say they've been together for 10 years because they got her when she was a baby. Yeah. Let's give it that they've been together for 10 years, but we don't even like feel that. We don't even feel. No. So that's what I'm saying. The weight of the sacrifice is so weakened, and that's why I'm like, you either had to go hard on their background in order for me to be like, oh my God,
actually feel that
Eric,
they've been through so much together.
Yeah.
Rather than Andrew taking a bar fight really harshly, and then they adopted this girl.
Yeah. Like a really lame bar fight. Right. Like, it was just it's such a, like,
I wouldn't even call it a bar fight.
So obnoxious.
I wouldn't call that a bar fight at all.
The guy hit him with a bottle, and that was about it. And he went and decided to learn how to fight and bought a gun.
It's cheap and surface level. It's cheap. So and then on top of that, me rolling my eyes, they also when he's like, you guys saw a queer couple and now you're tying us up and like this is a hate crime, and they're all like no, oh my God, I'm like, we're so progressive. No, like they had to throw out all these disclaimers, these caveats of like, no, this isn't about hate. We just need you to murder each other, you know. And again, like eyes rolling in my head where I'm just like,
need you to murder each other.
Because even like right now, there's somebody that would watch this and be like, oh, Chucky Rants, you you just don't like it because they're gay or something. And I'm like, no, this is storytelling we're talking about. This is storytelling. And as far as from what I saw, I don't think this was the family to really tell this story, take this interesting premise and really run with it. Unless they really went hard on building up their relationship so that by the end, when one of them kills the other, I care a little bit. But I was just annoyed. I was just annoyed at, okay, M. Night, what do you have for me? Oh, I have this really stereotypical scene in a bar where a guy's like, yeah, I don't like gay people because they're gay. You know, it's like, that's not going to do it for me, M. Night. What else you got? Oh, you have a moment at the end where he's like, Dave Bautista's like, I think this is why you were chosen, because your family's love is so pure. And I was like, oh, please.
It's no more pure than any other.
Show me that love,
family.
please.
Yeah.
But it was just one cutesy scene after another. It was just cutesy scenes. It wasn't like meaningful family scenes. It was just lame cutesy scenes. Like the song, that's a cute moment, but it's just a lame cutesy scene versus anything real. That's my biggest gripe with this movie.
Yeah, I mean, I get the. We need to see more of that background.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It didn't. Yeah, for me, it just didn't. I
But it
get
didn't
what
bother
you're.
me
I
as much.
get your points. What you're saying. It didn't bother me to the point where you were like, "This is the worst thing in the world." I don't think you're saying it's the worst thing in the world.
I'm not saying it's the worst.
No,
thing
you're not
in the
saying
world.
that. But
I'm saying poor decisions, bad decisions were made.
I think when it comes to movies like this, I think it is a struggle between. How much backstory do you have to load up into the chamber to tell the story? Because then if you load it up with backstory, it gets really boring really quickly, because then it's like, what's the point of telling the story? Versus like, okay, we actually are dealing with the actual drama, the actions of what is going on in the story. And so that's where I'm like, I see your point where maybe they could have done better with some of the like for instance, instead of like what you're describing as the cliche, like coming out scene to the parents scene, they could have done something different, right? Like could have done, how they first met or whatever, like something just slightly different than
They
that.
go to war together,
because
they're in a foxhole, and
but I think if anything, the
Save
only
each
thing
other's
they're trying
ass a few times.
the only thing that they're trying to do with those scenes is really more establish Andrew than anything else. I think more than even Eric, because it's just kind of describing like, okay, like what Nancy just said, like, yeah, his parents reject him. He gets in a bar fight because he's gay, or he gets hit in the head because he's gay, and then he decides, okay, I'm tired of people pushing me around, and I'm going to do this. But yeah, Charlie, you're right. There could have been more to that sequence of events to get us into the movie. But I'm like, also at the same time, like, yeah, but now the movie's going to be 3 hours long instead of an hour and a half.
I'm not saying
I don't think it would have been
3 hours. It's not like it would have been easy. I'm saying but that's the point, right? It would have been really difficult to really get us on their side. But that's where again, like what bugs me about contemporary film review is that if you it's almost like certain movies know that if you like take Ghostbusters 2016. Oh, this movie isn't funny and I hate it. You hate women. Oh, this movie just didn't do it for me. Oh, you hate gays. Like that's always in the back pocket of studios today, because they just want to stir up a bunch of controversy, because controversy gets attention, and attention equals eyeballs and money. But I'm like, again, if you're looking at how do we make this choice, they're not going to kill the little girl, duh. So then you're just left with these two men, and so it's just like there's not a lot of fodder there. There's not a lot of material to work with, and that's where it would have been a completely different movie. But I'm like, I almost would have maybe I've been watching too much X-Files lately, but I almost would have enjoyed the version of the movie where the four people find each other and we get to know them more. I'd rather get to know them and then have them go find this family and be like, hey, and explain this impossible situation to them, and then the family is just like, but that's what I'm saying. Like overall, this is a difficult movie. I'm sure it was hard to make, because it's like, how do you lay out these ground rules that are arbitrary and nobody knows what's going on? And that's what I'm saying. That's why if it only would have picked an angle and gone,
or maybe
with it, like
instead of
real quick, Nance, that's why I keep saying pick an angle and go with it. Either they show up and they immediately have proof, like he starts reciting everything on the news so that they're like this is happening. whether you like it or not, this is happening. Like a war just started, and because a tsunami and a flu outbreak isn't enough. Like if the planes had been the first thing, like all these planes falling down, and it's like, holy shit, this is happening. But then the family at that point can't make their decision. But instead, it's Andrew. And I understand Andrew is a stand-in. He's a metaphor for like people who hate existence. I get that. Like school shooters, people who just hate existence and they want everybody to die. And he says multiple times, he's like, let everybody burn. But in the end, Andrew, the guy who's like, let everybody burn, my family's the only thing that matters. And then you have Eric, who's like, what kind of a future does that have for our daughter then? And then Andrew's the one who ends up, like, Eric's the one who ends up dying. I'm like, did you guys even make, it was a coin flip between the two of you. Did you even pick the right guy?
Like,
seems like Eric
instead
would have
of,
been the guy that would have been best for Win, and not Andrew. Andrew's kind of an asshole.
Maybe make Eric more obviously or heavily religious leaning, and have them disagreeing more throughout rather than like the very last moment.
I
thought instead of the four horsemen being sacrificed throughout, they're alive the whole time, and they all have different styles of trying to convince them
exactly what I'm thinking.
This is happening, and this is what needs to happen to make it stop.
I
thought there's a lot of things that could be better, but I don't think.
Charlie, when you said the let them all die, I never got that Andrew really believed any of this. So even him saying that is, I don't know if that's him saying.
I think that's a normal reaction of like.
I think that's just like, fine, whatever, dude. Like, yeah. But I also am like, I don't know if he 100% believed him in the first place. So I don't know. I don't take that for like, oh yeah, like this is actually going to happen. I took it more like, okay, whatever, dude. Like, I don't care. Like, let them die. Okay, my family comes first. Like, not really believing the bluff.
I agree.
Like, that's where I go with that one.
And
I
Andrew's
agree.
point of view
totally
is similar
agree
to
with all
yours,
that.
Charlie, where it's like, oh, a tsunami. Like, okay, that, like, that's not super abnormal.
What I'm saying is it would have been more like, to your point, McCurdy,
a flu.
Because I'd be just, all of us would be like Andrew. Andrew's the reasonable guy in the room.
Yeah.
Duh. He's the one that's like, no, this isn't happening. And yeah, let the world burn and all that. There are days where we all feel that, where we all feel like, we just want to see the world burn or whatever. But maybe he's just yelling that emotion. He's having an emotional reaction because he's the emotional one, right? In like in an anger way. But if this is the difficult balance I'm talking about, the balance being the proof that this is happening versus the non. And so it was like, at the end of the day, it was just like people tied up to a chair while others are like calmly asking them to do something impossible. Meanwhile, there wasn't that back and forth. There wasn't that up down. Like, I don't know if you guys ever saw is it Messiah? There's a Netflix show about a guy who pops up in the Middle East, and it's like, this guy might be Jesus returned, but he might not be. And the whole time, the brilliance of the show is that it'll show you something where you're like, oh, I believe this guy's Jesus. Jesus is back, dude. This is nuts. And then it'll flip it, and it keeps doing that like this. And that's what makes you sit up. That's what makes you go, oh, like that. That's the twists and turns that M. Night should be focusing on. But instead, the whole time it was like, pretty sure this is real. Like, and Andrew's in denial.
Like,
Andrew's, of course, going to be in denial.
I thought I was on Andrew's side for, like, at first I was like,
I'm not talking sides. I'm not talking sides. I'm talking about looking something in the face and being like, this is probably.
No,
I think that goes along with.
They showed you the flashy image of the guy in the mirror right away when Rupert Grint was about to be killed.
Yeah, but that's also because Eric was, they set that up because you're like, well, Eric had a concussion. We're not 100% sure if he had a concussion.
They set it.
You might go like,
yes, they set it up.
But they set certain things up where it's like, okay, because I was like, okay, I don't know how I feel about this, and then until the point when Andrew pipes in and he's like, no, this is not real, and then he starts talking about certain things. I'm like, okay, maybe I can side more with Andrew. So I did feel the back and forth that you might have not felt, is what I was getting at.
It's like,
I feel like we're going. Hold on, Charlie. I think we're going. Chucky Rants. I think we're going in circles. Let's talk about the ending of the movie.
Oh yeah, I want to hear.
And
about
then let's talk about.
Oh man.
Well, while he's frozen, I agree that it would be more interesting to get and have kind of back and forth, and your idea with the four horsemen kind of feeds into that, where it'd be more interesting to. I want to hear more about these visions and how they were so convinced by those visions that they needed to carry out this mission.
Maybe this should have been a season of a TV show. How about that? Where it could have really
That's the
gone
thing, like,
in
how do
depth,
you really
but
flesh it out? Like,
yeah.
No, yeah.
develop
What
a
you do,
close
I can
family
see how
froze
it-
though,
and
McCurdy. Where
all this other stuff.
we're
we
running
didn't
into
cut you off.
circles.
You
No, I know.
froze,
I
McCurdy, so-
froze. It's all good. It's all good.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm having some flickering issues. I apologize. I'm not quite sure. I think it's just I'm running a lot of stuff on my computer. That's probably what it is. So anyway, so the original ending of this movie, spoilers. The end of this movie.
The end of the book, right? Or the end
Let's
of the movie.
talk about the end of the movie first, so that we can kind of just.
Okay, wait. Was
between the two?
just clarify? Was there an
Yes.
alternate end to the movie that was filmed? Is that what you're saying?
No.
Okay, you're talking about the original ending of the
Original
book.
movie. The original ending of the book.
He's gonna
yes, but I
cover
wanna talk-
both. Okay.
I want to cover both first, just real quick.
Okay.
The ending of the original of the book, basically Redmond dies. There's a sequence of events where they keep asking them, and then at first they kill Adrian, and her son likes pancakes. Charlie likes pancakes, and then Wynn escapes. You see it in the trailer. She escapes because Andrew has a gun, and it's in a vault it's in a safe in the car. So she leaves. She gets out of the house, and then somehow she gets taken back, and they ended up having to they grab her, they bring her back. Andrew eventually gets untied. He escapes, he gets the gun, he ends up shooting Sabrina by accident. And then they just pass that off as another sacrifice. Then at the end of the thing, there's a scuffle with Batista and Andrew with the gun. Batista ends up getting the gun back from him. And then he ends up killing himself. He slits his throat.
You're talking about the movie, right?
I am. Hold on. I just want to go over it. So
plot.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this is just the end of the movie. And then they're like, Andrew and Eric are like, they have their back and forth, and Eric's like, yo, like, no, it should be like, kill me. It should be me. You're
We
stronger.
still have a couple minutes.
We have a couple minutes. Planes are literally falling from the sky.
Yeah.
And so Eric, they take the sacrifice, and this whole movie, they shoot all of the disturbing stuff off screen, which is a little weird. Like it to a point where it's like, okay, I get it, M Night, you don't want to show that, but it's sometimes I'm like,
it's a rated R movie, right?
Yeah, it is rated R, but mostly for language, not as much for violence. So anyway, they end up leaving. Andrew and Wynn end up leaving. They end up at a diner, and the newscast is like, yeah, there was a strange, weird amount of events today. It got really crazy. And then they kind of end, and they're sitting listening to a song.
750 planes crashed.
It's
kind of a weird day.
It's a weird event,
Some of them stay aloft for a while.
Yeah. So let's switch over to the ranked slideshows, shall we? So we can talk about the end of this. The book is very different. So the events kind of play out the same. This is slightly comical, so bear with me. So I'm just gonna basically read off what the Wikipedia is for this, and it's mostly the end of the book. So Redmond and everything happens as is, basically. So then the book. This is where the book becomes different because the order of events change. So in the book, basically, Andrew escapes the cabin and he retrieves his gun from his car. He kills Adrian during a struggle. She died. That's Adrian. She dead. She kills Adrian during a struggle with Leonard.
Sorry, McCurdy. So we're talking at the end, or are you talking like same thing? Like
this is probably
Rupert
like
Grint
mid part of
dies.
the book because it
Okay.
Yeah, it gets to it. Sorry.
Rupert Grint dies. Adrian's number 2. So you're saying that he has a struggle with Adrian,
and he kills her. He shoots her.
Okay.
But after he shoots her, there's a struggle though, and during the struggle of the gun and the shooting, Wynn actually gets dead. She dies.
Oh,
Wow.
So in the
this
book,
is already
Wynn-
better. That's already better.
So
and
Wynn
that's not a
actually
joke. Like
dies.
that's more interesting.
So,
yeah, it is.
Yeah. So
Because
Wynn
that's
dies.
horrific.
That
That's
doesn't count as a sacrifice, right? Because they do lay out.
Yes.
It can't
So
be
they
a
say that, yeah.
suicide either. Like you
So
can't.
yeah,
be
they
like,
say
"Kill me,"
basically
and
they're
then
like,
you shoot yourself.
her thing doesn't mean that her death does not count. So they're like, yeah, her death does not count.
She
You
did.
two have to still
Doesn't count.
choose to
Wow.
who's gonna live. Then I might be
God, that's so much better already. Jesus,
I might be
Christ.
breezing through this a little bit, but then Sabrina is like, I'm out of here. I'm leaving, and she ends up killing Leonard. That's Stone Cold Steve Austin.
What?
She ends up killing Leonard because she just thinks Leonard's crazy, and then Sabrina shows them to. I think she ends up killing herself, but she ends up showing Andrew and Eric to Redmond's truck, and then the end of the movie is Eric and Andrew decide they're not going to kill each other. And the quote from the Wikipedia article basically says Eric considers taking his own life, but Andrew argues that even if the apocalypse is real, he refuses to obey a god that does not accept Wynn's death as enough. They decide that neither wants to leave the other alone by dying. Grief-stricken, Eric and Andrew head for Redmond's car with Wynn's body, deciding to stay together through whatever comes next.
All that's so much better. I was kind of hoping that there would
Weird
be
picture.
that, like, let the apocalypse happen, because that's essentially that's going to add to a more interesting, like, visual cinematic experience and something that's tragic. I was hoping that the end of this movie would have something a little more tragic than just like these two guys flipping a coin and
Maybe that we could have
one
a
shooting the other.
like
and then we did
world
the review
did
of the
end.
movie.
Now
what you
now
just
what
said
are we
about
supposed to do?
when being when being somewhat sacrificed but not counting, that is the definition of tragedy. That is, God, that would have had me sitting on the edge of my seat. But instead, we're treated to these half-ass scenes of cutesy moments with the family that are nothing, that have no substance, and then stupid moments with them at a bar with the redneck being like, I don't like gay people. Again, the movie knew it was so bad that it had to continuously tell us things. It had remember your family's love is just so pure that's why you were chosen. It's like, okay, thank you for telling me how I should feel, but I don't, because you continue to insult me. Like the most obvious one, of course, is I've been doing. Eric is pitching to Andrew why Andrew should kill him to stave off the apocalypse, and he's like, I've really been doing a lot of thinking about this. I think that they are the four horsemen of the apocalypse. I think that, and this is what they were. Correct me if I'm wrong. They each exhibited different. Thanks for telling him. Should I do this whole segment as a redneck? They each exhibit a fucking trait that exhibits different pieces of humanity, right? It was malice, nurturing, healing, and guidance.
Yeah, that was weird.
Those are just random words. Malice, nurturing, healing, and guidance. Like, and then if you actually look at, so I just pulled.
I don't know anything about the Bible or the Four Horsemen, so I don't know if that's like a thing.
I don't remember it being.
I've read the Bible cover to cover. I love. Who doesn't love the Book of Revelations? It's great, but I just copy pasted Wikipedia's first entry on the Four Horsemen. In John's Revelation, the first horseman rides a white horse, carries a bow, and is given a crown as a figure of conquest, perhaps invoking pestilence, Christ, or the Antichrist. The second carries a sword and rides a red horse as the creator of civil war, conflict, and strife. The third, a food merchant, rides a black horse symbolizing famine and carries the scales. The fourth and final horse is pale. Upon it rides death, accompanied by Hades. They were given authority over a quarter of the earth to kill with sword, famine, and plague, and by means of the beasts of the earth. It's not like four people are good. Like the four horsemen of the apocalypse are more like Marvel, right? They're not good. They're bad. Like, you don't. And I get that the twist here would be like, oh, they're just going to be four normal people, but like, it's trying to be interesting and trying to be deep by suddenly invoking the Bible. You know what I'm saying? Like, by just having these four people and then at the end being like, I think they're the four horsemen of the apocalypse, is essentially telegraphing to us, hey, this is really deep and significant, but it's not. Wow. These are two completely unrelated things. Like, had they really had these people showcase like these exact things, or had they been bad instead of being like people trying to do good, right? They're like, we're actually good people. but it's a pathetic attempt to make it more significant than it is by being like, oh, this is all from the book of Revelation. That's a hefty thing. That's going to make this movie feel smart. But again, they should have done these things and then left it to the YouTubers to make a film essay being like, this is why this movie is actually secretly genius, because they actually represent the 4 horsemen, blah, blah, blah. But instead they tell you that. They're like Eric's like, I think this event is really significant. I think this event is significant. I think that's really deep and stuff. It's like, no, you're not tricking me. Again, M. Night, you're not tricking me into thinking this is smart. This is not smart. This is pathetic. Where are my sunglasses?
There we go.
Is there anything specific you can point to between this one and Plane where you could argue Plane should be above it?
Plane just has good action. Like Plane is just kind of, it's just blah at the end.
I think this one's more interesting though.
Yeah.
I would rather.
Oh, an M. Night movie is interesting? Yeah, of course, until you watch it.
I'm with Nans. I'm with Nans here. I out of the list as it stands now, I would put this above
Plane is just
sure.
I'm not going to argue for
action
Plane,
movie.
Guys.
No.
I'm not going to make an argument for Plane. I'm with you guys that this is 4. I'm happy that you guys are with me on that, because I would.
No, yeah, it doesn't. Not.
Yeah, I left. Yeah, I pretty much left the theater like, I want to see. I would rather see Missing or Megan or
80 for
Infinity
Brady
Pool.
With your mom.
Yeah.
I would see 80 for Brady. Oh, you know what? Damn it! I was going to start off doing the special behind the scenes, and then I was going to start putting 80 for Brady stuff and wait until you guys said something about it.
Yeah.
And I've been like, 80 for Brady is directed by this. Yeah.
Wait, Nance, you saw the wrong movie? Oh no.
Which, by the way, guys, this movie was better than 80 for Brady.
Oh, okay. Good to know. I probably would disagree.
am not surprised.
I probably would have loved 80 for Brady.
Actually, 80 for Brady was like 80 for Brady is another class of movie. Like, we would probably rip it to shreds, but I'd feel bad doing so because it would feel like,
because it's old
like,
lady.
Okay, it'd feel like beating up an old lady.
McCurdy, we can always add that later. 6 months from now, we can always just retroactively, we can do a ranked addendum. But I want to keep talking shit about this movie. So what you just laid out with the book,
you were done.
The Chucky rants and the pancakes are still on screen. I'm good to go. What you laid out, the original book plot. What's interesting about that, the reason why I resonate with it, besides what I already said about like, oh, that's cool about the near sacrifice of Wynn and the tragedy of that. That's great. But when you have a premise like this, you have a setting, you have a simple setting. And what makes movies like that fun, the simple setting story, is when you maximize all the stuff going on, right? You kind of, you can take a story like Saw. You can take a story about just some people in a room, and you can cover it from all angles, and that's how you drive the interest. Like, how could you possibly make a movie about just 2 people in a room? Well, with enough creativity and twists and turns, you can do that. That sounds like that's what the book did. Like, okay, Wen escapes, and then that pushes us into the next phase where now we're running through the woods, and these normal people are like desperately looking for Wen. And they can't find her. And my God, the world is going to end if they can't find her. But then they do manage to find her. But then the 2 guys escape, and now they're hidden in the woods, and the normal people are in the cabin with Wen, and they don't know what to do. And then like the two dads formulate a plan to break in and get Wen, but then they get captured. Like, that's how you twist and turn it to keep our interest. But instead, the movie was just these 2 people tied to a chair and having people cry at them and beg them. And I'm like, you're not keeping my interest. You're just annoying me. You're just, and so McCurdy, you've officially ruined this movie for me completely by telling me how good the book is. The book is so much more interesting because it does what I'm talking about. It twists and turns, and it's reshuffling the deck the whole time to make you go, oh, this is really just like Missing. Missing did that beautifully. Missing is just as, again, don't diminish that movie by just saying it's a gimmick movie where there's you're just staring at a screen the whole time. That movie twists and turns and had me sitting up and going, "Ooh, this is good." Oh, up until that third act where then they had to suck her in and security cam footage and all that. But that's how you do it. That's how you do it. This movie just ended up pissing me off by, again, flashbacks that meant nothing and were just pathetic. They were meant to just have like the blue-haired femmes in the audience be like, yeah, that's all that was there for. It was meaningless. No substance there. And then as opposed to winning me over and making me cry that Eric got it in the end. I should have been crying, but instead I was like, let me out of here. But had Wynn died and the sacrifice meant nothing, I'd have been crying like a bitch. My God, like that, I would have been feeling something other than annoyance.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Chucky Rants. I seriously need
sunglasses. You need some sunglasses.
Yeah.
Need some Chucky Rants sunglasses.
Down every time.
Oh Lordy.
But I'm glad you guys are on board with it being 4 because I agree.
Yeah,
I agree. It's above plain.
It's funny because I think we had different reactions. I think Nans and I liked the movie a little bit more than you did, but I think we all agreed like, yeah, it's not. And as far as the movies that come out this year, it's not the best movie, but it's definitely not the worst. You could be worse,
dude. I have 2 words for you.
If
Dave
Andrew's
Bautista.
if Andrew's
I'm on board with what you're
magazine
about to
was
say.
loaded, then it would be a first place movie.
If what was?
If
He goes
gun
to
was
the
loaded.
car to get his gun,
Oh,
and
it's
the bullets aren't in the clip. It's like,
yeah, like they don't need to be in the
What?
gun, but they got to be in the clip, bro. Come on, yeah. But that's the thing. There was, and I understand that was his character, but there was so much focus on just the negative aspects. Where again, I get it. Andrew's the one who doesn't like humanity, and he thinks that they should die and all that. But again, I keep thinking about that book ending where Wynn dies and then they let the apocalypse happen.
Sounds way better.
Fantastic. Fucking fantastic. That's what I was kind of hoping for, but I didn't even think about Wynn dying on accident. That's
right.
genius.
Dave you were saying something about Dave Bautista.
Dave Bautista.
Nance, can you pull that up again?
Even like his final thing,
What?
right?
What do you want?
You know what I want. You know what I want. Not that.
Nobody wants to see that.
No one sees that. There we go. Dave Bautista. Probably the saving grace of this movie. It's like the one thing.
If he wasn't there, I would have been slitting my throat. Which is okay. So at the end of the movie, and that was something. Okay. I want to hear your guys' interpretation of that. Every time somebody would kill themselves, they would white hood themselves, and then everybody else would they look like soldiers. They'd they were
very
walk
methodical,
upright, and they would That's the type of
It
stuff
was a
that I just
ritual
see
they
as
had to do.
arbitrary.
I think it felt like ritualistic, but I think it sounds like a Shyamalan ding dong type of
exactly
of hey, let's do it this way. Because we didn't really get into the things that we hate about M. Night, but I think one of his problems that he's had in many years, which is surprising with this movie, is that as far as how he directs his actors, at least this is what I've seen out of his movies, is that he's don't put any inflection, be completely stoic in your performance, but no inflection. Even characters that they're just let's say everything like it has great importance, but it in everything. But this movie, at least they didn't quite do that, and I think it works for Bautista in this instance. But but he also has some weird quirky things where he's no, I want to do it this way, because again, people will talk about The Last Airbender, which is based off a kid's show, and he completely butchers it to the point where everyone was this is awful, because he had to make all these weird choices.
Okay, this is what I thought about the suicide, or not the suicide, but them ritualistically killing each other.
Yeah.
Nico, we'll definitely be doing this next week, right? Next weekend.
Yeah, we're still doing it next weekend. I think
Yeah.
we'll just be keeping tabs on the games as it happens.
Not even.
Yeah.
I don't even know
I
who's
will.
in it. Is the Super Bowl next Sunday?
Yes.
Oh, I mean,
I figured it was coming up because at the grocery store there was a bunch of chips.
we're doing
Display.
Magic Mike's Last Dance, I think, and then I don't think we need to
Shirtless.
talk that long on that
Shirtless.
movie. We'll probably put it at number 2 or 3, and I'm not kidding. And then
I'm not disagreeing with you.
I am
and
watching
then-
Magic Mike 1 and 2 this week.
Yeah, I'll have
That's
to-
how
I'll have to
devoted
do that.
I am to watching
I'll have to
Not a
do
big
that.
shocker.
movie this
they're
week.
they're
'Cause I've never seen him.
What the director again? What's the director?
Steven Soderbergh.
Soderbergh
Channing Tatum?
makes excellent movies. So
Yeah.
turns out Magic Mike, not a joke, good movie, quality movie. So we'll see about this third one. But okay, they start killing themselves, and I'm sitting there and I was like, wait a second, did they say they would do this, or are they just doing this? So my thought was, are they doing this to show how serious they are? And if that's the case, why put white hoods over your face? Can you imagine? Just imagine for a second how it would have been if every single one of them had done what Batista did, right? What did Batista do at the end? He just cut his throat in front of them. Like,
Yeah.
can you imagine Rupert Grint looking you in the face and being like, this is serious. This is how serious I am. And cutting himself? Maybe it could have gone two ways. Knowing M. Night Shyamalan, it probably would have been funny. Like, just like The Happening. You'd be
On
like,
accident,
oh my
yeah.
God. Or
Just
Rupert
lay in
Grint
front of a
pulls
mower.
it off.
You have
Ronald-
to choose someone to die, or
You
else I'm gonna
have to
run over myself with a
choose.
lawnmower.
Yeah, this lion is gonna eat my head off if you don't choose. Apparently, there should have been a crossover between these two stories. But you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
if every one of them was like, "This is how serious I am,"
Yeah,
you know. But even like Batista at the end, like, and because that's the thing, it's like, okay, did he have to cut his throat? I know he only bought them a few minutes, but that was like that
He
was
had
great.
the knife at his wrist the whole time. I thought he would slit his wrist and be like,
No.
"Hey, like maybe until I'm fully unconscious, you have."
Yeah, you have, yeah. But
Because
you
there's
know what
that
I mean? Like,
arbitrary rule of we still have a couple minutes.
okay. Let me put
Whatever
it this
that
way.
is.
Let me put it. Yeah, everything was arbitrary, which I'm fine with. Movie like this, it should be arbitrary. But
Yeah.
Here's my point, though. If you don't want to look like religious nut jobs, then why are you putting a white hood over your face, standing up straight, walking like robots, and like they look like nutcrackers, like ritualistically killing each other? Why are you doing that if you don't want to look like religious nutbags?
Well, at
Why
least they
not
weren't
just-
riding around on
just be like,
horses too?
Can you imagine? That would have been horrific. But instead, they looked stupid.
Yeah.
But Dave Bautista is awesome.
Yeah, I was gonna put it up because I'm pretty sure we're toasting to Mr. Batista.
We are
tonight.
absolutely. I mean, there's literally nothing else to toast to. But do you guys? I think I'm ready.
You
we've
are
been going over
we
an
are
hour.
going a
You've-
little
you've
over now.
gotten
We're
us
almost,
I'm getting-
plenty of Chucky rants out.
The reason we're all here is so I can get my angst out about how much I'm just like Andrew. I just want everybody to die. I want a tsunami to happen in Hollywood. So literally the only other notes that I have, though, and I already hit them, was that like Andrew, they focus so much on the negative of their background rather than building up their relationship. Every flashback was just about like,
you said that
I'm-
already.
I'm
You said
gay and
this
everybody
already.
hates me. I know I did.
You
I know I
said
did.
this already.
I know. But what I'm
Chucky
getting
Rants
at,
goes in circles.
what I'm getting at is that but then at one point he was like, I can tell you some stuff about humanity, how humanity's bad. And I was more interested in that. I was like, I want to know more about that instead of these pathetic flashbacks that aren't helping your case with why you and Eric love each other. I want to know more about like why you think the world should burn. Chucky Rants goes in circles like the pancakes he likes. Yeah. I'm not going in circles. I'm reestablishing my point so I can drive it to a new point.
I think.
Okay,
I think all
fine. You guys don't want to join me in shitting on this movie. You want to pretend
I thought
that it's
it was
good.
fine.
It was fine.
But that's
It
the
was
point. That's the
fine.
point. If a movie is fine, it's not good. Fine isn't good enough. fine as shit. They should have tried harder.
At the restaurant, I tip 20% unless they are so bad that
That's
I
a
have
good.
to give
That's
them
actually a really good
15 to
analogy.
18% instead.
That's a really good analogy. And then there's me. If I'm not wowed, I'm not even paying anything.
Yeah.
I'm just running out the door.
I think your metric is very heavy. You're like, it's either good or bad. No in between.
No, but that's if we're gonna sit here and review things, nobody wants to hear, oh, I guess you should go see it. They want to know if they should fucking see it or not. And I'm saying this is another M. Night movie that just feels half-assed. The guy put more time into his fucking chicken cameo than he did the story. Especially when you're telling me that the book is quality, that the book would have me going, oh my God. But instead, I was just like, whatever, this movie sucks.
McCurdy, did you mentioned it in your like trivia section. Is there a reason he decided not to do the book ending?
So I watched the interview where he talks about it because I was looking for it. I was looking for interviews. And of course, that's the other thing about M. Night. He's he's got a very big ego. Like anybody would
clearly.
Just any interview you watch, he's got a very big ego. He has a thinks very highly. But all he says is just like, it's just for personal reasons. This is why I wanted to do this ending. He doesn't explain.
I think I'm more
what are
clever than the author of the book.
What are the personal reasons?
He doesn't say. He doesn't say.
Really?
He just says, I have personal reasons. That's why I did it. Wanted to do it this way.
He made it weaker. He took a story that could have been more interesting, and he diluted it.
His ideas
watered it down.
Great. He thinks his shit
don't know.
stink.
Maybe. Could also be maybe it's hard to market a movie where a little girl gets shot. So there's
but it's already an R-rated movie, right? Isn't this R?
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a weird R. Like this is it could have been PG-13, but it's
not
just,
a hard
it's mainly R. It's mainly language. It's just a weird R. It's a weird R.
So I'm not every week. I'm not going to be with you guys. A movie is either good or it's a piece of shit. That's how it should be.
I would say see this movie.
I'd recommend seeing it if you want to be like slightly disappointed. I don't know. No.
If you have an AMC membership,
shut
and you
the
have
fuck
an extra
up.
Say an AMC membership, bro.
Go see Infinity Pool a second time.
Well, that's the other thing. Go see the other movies in our list that are above
first.
this.
Yeah, go see
those. And then see this movie.
And then go see Knock.
And then see Plane.
Yeah.
With your dad. And then see 80 for Brady with your mom.
Here we go. Knock. Yeah, here you go. Cock at the cabin.
Come on. Come on.
There you
Come
go.
On.
Just barely making its way above Plan. All because Dave Bautista. Actually, you know what? It shouldn't even be Knock at the Cabin. It should just be Dave Bautista. That's just that. That's what we were there to see. Oh, it's kind of cool. It's highlighted like it's new. So here we are after 5 weeks. Infinity Pool, dope. Megan, good sci-fi stuff. Missing, shockingly, surprisingly, spellbinding movie for most of it. Knock at the Cabin, just another M. Night. Just another M. Night movie that people aren't going to care about. And I mean, when's the last time you guys saw Lady in the Water? You'd be sitting here. Lady in the Water was fine. It was fine. No, it sucked.
I think happening. I think here's the thing between this movie and then some of his other poorly received movies. I thought this was much better. Like I saw The Happening. I thought The Happening was
hilarious.
God awful.
It's a good comedy.
It's god awful. Last Airbender, terrible movie. This at least I can get through it. It's not. It's not. I didn't spend any moment where I thought the performances were so garbage that I was like, "What the hell am I watching?" Like I've seen After Earth. That movie is also garbage. So like, yeah, this is not the worst M. Night movie as much as Charlie you want to say it is, but it does have some of the things.
It's not the worst.
It's definitely not.
Don't
the
get
worst,
me
but
wrong.
It does
it's
have some of the. It definitely does have some of the bad
some of the bad things that M. Night tends to do, like some of the bad
Yeah.
choices.
I just again to circle like a pancake again. He just makes bad choices to the point where it's hard for me to like quantify. It's like watching Die Another Day. Like I said in Die Another Day, I was like, it's hard to pinpoint. Like you can pinpoint specific things, but it's hard to not just be like throw the whole movie out and start again. Just like why grade this paper? Just tear it up and try again. If I was a teacher, that's what I'd be doing. Do you guys like blue, or do you like pink?
No,
or
blue's better.
Yellow.
How were your
They had it on
theaters?
gray.
I want to say
You want it
our
on
theater
gray?
showing was fairly full, which means we're gonna get another M. Night Shyamalan movie.
Mine was empty, but I was at a
theater-
matinee.
Well, you went to
I went to a meet.
I went to a Friday at
matinee.
8.
My
Friday at
theater
8,
was
pretty full.
it was a 1 o'clock, so it was a matinee. There weren't a lot of people in the theater, but the theater experience that I went to at an AMC theater was awesome.
All I can ever think is, why does Michael Bay get to keep on making movies? But it's M. Night Shyamalan.
Yeah.
You know, Michael Bay's at least his movies make money, so it makes sense why he keeps to get making movies. But it is the greatest twist of all that M. Night keeps to get making movies, because they just. Oh, real quick, because I still have a beer.
twist.
I don't want to sign off yet.
His final M. Night Shyamalan's final twist will be, even after he dies, he has a like
a
20 more
backlog.
movies made.
Yeah.
Just release them all.
I got some other movies, guys.
I'm not done yet.
I'm not done yet.
Yeah, just like one, not even annually, every 6 months, another one of my terrible movies will come out to
Until
make
one of you kills
Chucky
yourself.
Rants kill himself. Chucky Rants, you have to kill yourself, otherwise the movies keep coming out. You have to kill yourself to spare everybody these terrible films. Okay, back in the day, again, I still have a full beer, so I want to keep hanging out. Fuck you guys. Back in the day, M. Night was on a killer run, right? He made Sixth Sense. Undoubtedly, nobody doubts that movie. Fantastic.
Nope.
Then he made Unbreakable. Still hot. He's still hot. Then I think whether or not Signs was his third movie. Was that 3?
Signs? That's
Okay,
not his third.
Pause at Signs. Signs was still where he was hot.
I
I think The Village wasn't too terrible either.
Well,
Like,
the Village was
I
later.
don't know when
Fuck
I
The
last
Village.
saw Signs.
We're talking about Signs. Signs comes out third, and it's like from the maker of The Sixth Sense, and it's like great Signs, and it was everybody's saying it's like the scariest movie ever, and I don't know, how old were you then? I was like 12, like
maybe
12 years old maybe, and I maybe it was PG-13, but 12 years old, going to see what's supposedly the scariest movie of all time, and one of our buddies, right, somebody that you guys would know, I go to see the movie with him. And I don't even know if he made it halfway through. At some point, my friend just gets up and leaves, leaving me alone to watch what is supposedly the scariest movie in history up until then. And again, at 12, you're like, it's terrifying. Yeah. So I remember just putting up the armrest and laying down. He went back into the lobby of the shitty Regal cinema, to call his mom. He went to call his mom, and I laid down and watched the whole movie. And I remember coming out and seeing him and being like, "What's up? What's up, dude?" He was like, Did you finish it?" I was like, "Yeah." It was great. It was great. I finished it all by myself. Like, what did you do? I came out here to call my mom.
I want to know who it is.
I need to know who it was, but
I won't say on air. I'll tell you guys afterwards.
I watched it at a friend's house on his TV in his room, and it was a sleepover, and I don't remember what part it was, but there was a point where we both just covered our faces with the blanket we were under, and like we're trying to turn off the TV with our feet. Like, okay, we're done with this movie. I don't know if it was the cornfield or
what
I'm constantly quoting is when you see the TV footage of Mexico, and the kid's like, "It's behind," and
Yeah.
you just see like
And he walks out like
an
Bigfoot.
alien walk out.
Yeah.
It's like, Jesus Christ.
And like, okay, that movie deserves its own live stream about like how in retrospect the literal
Pod-
signs, the
Phantom
literal
Menace.
signs of like of M. Night's downfall are in there. To this day, I'd say it's a good movie, but
Yeah, just
But-
like I will watch Phantom Menace to this day.
yes, but it's like they're just things where you're like, in retrospect, it was kind of dumb, wasn't
I
it?
feel like he got propped up too early in his career. Like he made
Yeah.
2 movies prior to Sixth Sense. So Sixth Sense is actually his 3rd movie.
Okay.
But he because I was looking this up while we were talking about these. But yeah, I agree. I think he did Sixth Sense, Unbreakable, Signs, then Village, and then he did Lady in the Water. That's what I think his career like really plummeted. But like I would agree that Signs and The Village aren't his best movies. But I feel like he got propped up too soon. Like he did these 2 movies, and everyone was like, "Oh my God, he's the next Hitchcock! Like he has all these twists in his movies. He's fantastic." And then I think slowly but surely, by the time he got to Lady in the Water, which was kind of like he wanted to do something kind of completely different, that's when people were like, "Yeah, he's not the best." And then he went downhill from there after he did The Happening. He did Airbender.
After
He
Earth.
did After Earth. Like these were
I
all
didn't
like
know
just
he did After Earth.
yeah. After
Huh.
Earth was awful. He just did all these bad movies back to back to back, and then it wasn't till like The Visit that people were like, okay, maybe he's still good. And then he did Split. And people kind of like Split. And they,
like kinda, but it's
I like Split. I thought it was good.
eh,
I didn't think it was terrible.
meh.
I never saw Glass. I didn't see Old, but yeah, he's definitely one that like he, it would be the same with like we were talking about Christopher Nolan, right? Like most of his filmography is pretty spotless for the most part until
Yeah.
he gets to After Dark Knight Rises. That's when people are like, oh, he does have these tendencies, and they either good or bad. And I know Charlie, you have your thoughts on
Hating the fuck out of Dunkirk.
you hate Dunkirk, but
What?
like, yeah, Charlie hates Dunkirk.
That's why I recut it. I did
you
I
recut
did
it.
a film hack of that, and it's better.
Well,
But
Whatever.
it's like
it is better.
Nolan's filmography is pretty solid
Yeah,
till he gets to Dark
we'll
Knight
do
Rises.
his movies someday. Like
And-
undoubtedly, we will
yeah.
do his movies.
His
someday.
movie, and he's got
Yeah, I
a
need
new
to
movie
give
coming
Tenet
out
a
this
good
year. Tenet has its issues, but I mean he's still pretty solid. M. Night, on the other hand, like by the time he did whatever it was, he just fell off the face of the earth. He just couldn't. He could never get quite back up.
Nolan's average, right?
They're
is
they're
great.
opposites.
M. Night's average is
Yeah.
like down here.
And every once
Yeah.
in a while, he is a good one, and every once in a while,
It
Nolan
was
has
like-
a not super
No,
big one.
it was like M. Night's hit 2 home runs, and then he hit a couple threes, and then he started to just strike out.
Quit talking
whereas-
about football in the Super Bowl.
And that's I just feel like he did those 2 home runs, and people were like, "Oh, this guy's fantastic," and then it got into his head that he was an amazing director, and then all his other
to-
movies just became
To
shit.
bring it back to knock on doors of cabins, I think that the biggest part, again, if it's gonna come down to the just performances, right? Because again, let's approach. Forget about me talking about what the movie could have done. It could have been. The movie as it is a couple of guys tied to chairs with some crazy people screaming at them, and then them screaming back and like crying and all that. If it's gonna come down to that, just to raw performances, M. Night, I don't think is an actor's director. I don't think that guy is pulling incredible performances out of people, and that's what this movie needed. Again, as it is, I
thought all
wish
the
the movie
acting was
would have been
pretty decent,
nah,
though.
not for me. I thought the acting was just like Batista, fan-fucking-tastic. Everybody else was annoying. Their characters were stupid. They were overacting and just obnoxious.
I think,
But
I think
Batista was perfect.
I think he was fortunate to get the actors he did get, and I think he kind of. I think definitely with Jonathan Groff and Batista for sure. I think he was able to pull off something that I think works. But
Only Batista for me. Everybody else,
I think
was
Groff
annoying
is pretty
or
good.
stupid.
But
Their character or their performance was.
I thought Gruff was great.
Either one didn't do it for me, but Batista was like, again, if he wasn't in this movie, it would have been. I've never in my life walked out of a movie, and I never will. But if Batista wasn't in this, I would have been. I just the whole time I felt like those guys just tied to my chair, like, why are you doing this? Stop it! Stop! Everybody's stupid. Stop it! Oh, sorry, I'm doing the wrong voice. Y'all stupid. This is stupid. Fuck this movie. I'm out. Anyway, I'm almost done with my beer. So let's go.
Your
Let's
pancakes?
on that note, there's only one person to toast to. There's only one
M. Night
person that we
Shyamalan?
will be toasting to, other than M. Night Shyamalan.
Shyamalama.
Toast is for Dave Bautista.
I'm toasting. You just can't see it.
I actually, while I was Googling, looking for this photo, the caption under this photo was, "I don't want to be like The Rock. I want to be a good fucking actor." I admire that. I really admire that.
Yeah.
I think here, Nance. There.
Here,
now
wait.
we can
Put
see
up,
you
Nance.
actually
Put up the
toasted.
other one. Put up the other one. I put up the.
I
all
don't know what you're talking about.
My shared screen.
Okay,
There you go.
we'll do
There
that.
we go. There's Dave Batista.
No, no.
Oh, damn it.
Okay, there we go. I like my photo, but it covers up Nance.
There we
You
go.
can do that.
That
Yeah.
works. That works. Let's
It's
do
a
that.
mix of everybody. So
Everybody, we get it.
to Dave, the only reason no to Dave Bautista, the only reason why this movie was tolerable, and I really look forward to what he does in the future, because
Yeah.
whatever, he went from Marvel, and that was where it was like, wow, he's good. And then now we see him in a smaller movie where he is the only good part. I'd like to see where he goes from here.
Same.
Dave.
To Dave.
Cheers.